salon man. He said he'll look at it. It's like watching, what is it, watching water boil?
Watching the pot boil.
7 o'clock.
Watching the pot.
7. It's 7.
I'm going to call the February 11th meeting of the Christiansburg Town Council to order. Before we get started, Mrs. Bowman and Mrs. Hicks have requested to join us by telephone. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Get a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
All right, very good. Welcome aboard, ladies.
Thank you.
We will skip the moment of reflection, and I will lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, under the introductions and presentations, we'd like to move that to a later council meeting.
So item 5, under introductions and presentations, we'd like to postpone it tonight and move it to a later date. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is 6-0. Thank you very much. We have no public hearings scheduled for tonight. Under the consent agenda, we have the approval of the minutes of January 28th, 2025, the bill list, contract amendment number 2 with A. Morton Thomas and Associates Incorporated, doing business as AMT, for professional engineering services for the College Street Draining Improvement Project 2 in the amount of $197,754. And we have a resolution recognizing town employees Joe Oley, Ryan Hubble, Pete Hayslip, and Brandon Turner, and Dr. Larry Cox, who assisted town employees for their response to a cardiac arrest at the Christiansburg Rec Center.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is 6-0. Thank you very much. Citizens' comments, just where the floor is open, if you'd like to come and make a comment to staff and to the town council. Anyone here to address town council?
Chris Wallace, 1370 Wrigley Street. Yeah, that letter that you're sending to the county, or the draft letter, I mean, it's a whole lot different than what was said in that emergency services meeting. It talks about partnership, but basically at that meeting, it was said that you didn't want county in town facilities. And it's sad that you have some politicians that want some vanity project just so they could have their name on a little plaque outside for their, for their legacy. Because the only thing that people like me and probably every other citizen cares about is not whose logo is on the uniform when we have a heart attack. It's that you get there as quick as you can. I think it's 8 or 12 minutes is what the goal is. And that you have the right person that has the right training, that if they need to, they could push drugs to save my life on the way to the hospital. That's what we care about. It's just unfortunate that we have politicians that care more about $10 million buildings and $5 million land that was supposed to be sold.
It is for sale, Chris.
Yeah, and Tanya says she doesn't want to, and everybody kind of agreed with her that they don't want to sell it until it's in the video. You were there. But again, it's just unfortunate that we have a bunch of politicians that would rather, have something to put their name on, some little vanity project, than actually taking care of the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else Hearing no one, I will close citizens' comments. We'll move on to committee reports. Mr. Bishop,
No report.
Ms. Hicks,
No report.
thank you. Ms. Hockett,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Jenkins.
Central Business will meet tomorrow for the first time this year.
It's well.
Central Business will meet tomorrow for the first time this
Okay.
year.
Ms. Bowman,
No, thank you.
Mr. Wilson.
Nothing to report.
Very good, thank you. Under discussion and action by mayor and council, First Amendment to solar power purchase agreements. Wayne, you handle that one for us?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. It's a pleasure to be back here again. I'm going to present to you an amendment to our solar power purchase agreement.
Why are you doing that?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Hicks, Ms. Bowman, can you hear Wayne okay?
No. No, I can barely hear them.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you a little bit better, yes.
A little better?
Thank you.
I'll step up to the mic, ma'am. Oh, let me get this thing on. We set? Okay, all right. The first slide is our timeline. You can see where we are. We are at the end of the project development, where the engineering design and construction planning has been taking place out on site. We're now moving into the project execution phase, which this is where the rubber meets the road. We're going to finalize the drawings, get permits issued through our building officials department, begin installation, and we will then put the system into commission. So to explain the reason I'm here this evening, the agreement states that prior to entering into the construction installation phase, they can re-examine the rate to the agreement. The primary drivers for this change in rate is, number one, since 2022, installation costs have gone up. The interconnection upgrade costs at the rec center required by AEP resulted in an additional $100,000 charge. That's not to us, that's their cost. This is at no cost to us. The HVAC project at the Aquatic Center is added to the complexity and to the construction and coordination, but thanks to Mike Kelly and his assistant Meredith, we've worked with them and their engineer for that project. It's difficult when you have two contractors on the site at the same time, but we've worked out the details. Everyone understands HVAC. That's the Mac Daddy. We got to get that installed. However, we do have this under contract. It's a good project and it's going to save us money. And there were some minor system reductions due to the structural analysis. The engineers decided precisely where to put those solar panels. However, the rates with AEP have increased. When we started this project out, we looked back, Madison Energy Infrastructure looked back 15 years, and over average, over those 15 years, AEP's rates increased 3.9%. Well, on average since then, rates have gone up 20%. I'll tell you the Aquatic Center went up 19%, and the Recreation Center rates went up 24%. So specifically in the agreement, I want to point out some things for you. In the memorandum, it's identified that we heat our pool water with natural gas, not electricity. Deep in the fine print of the Federal Infrastructure Act is language that prohibits the use of energy credits to be applied towards pools that are heated with, whose water's heated with electricity. Go figure. Renewal period, initially we had two. After 25 years, we had 2 5-year extensions. We've modified that to 1 year, making a total of 30 years. Concern was that federal government may construe this as us owning the system and not them. They didn't want to take a chance on preventing or limiting their federal tax credits. Again, changing the initial price of electricity, that's associated with the previous slide comments, and then the termination fee charges, those changed as well because the project cost changed. In other words, if we decide to bail out halfway through, well, it's going to cost us. But that is, I really don't think that is our intention. So I want to share with you what we went through, staff, when we considered the changes to the escalation rate. We first had them look at 0% as what we had before in the original agreement. When you do that, you notice that coming right out the gate, first year, we're behind about $23,000. That didn't seem optimum. Then we asked them to look at, get our starting PPA rate close to what we originally had proposed. And in doing so, you see greater savings in the first year. However, overall, at the end of the project, we're about $160,000 less projected to earn or save than if we went with what we suggested. We asked for a middle of the road, 1.5%. Essentially, from 20,000 feet, we break even the first year, and we realize savings thereafter. Total of $101.76 million savings. And this is the initial PPA with 1.73 million total savings, and then the amended PPA, 1.762. I wanted to share.
Could you repeat that?
Yes, ma'am. So the initial PPA at a 0% escalation rate had a total savings over 25 years of 1.73 million. The amended PPA with escalation rate of 1.5% results in a overall savings of 1.76 million over 25 years.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, you're welcome. Then I wanted to share this slide. This is a slide that I shared with you previously. I just wanted to point out some things that this project is no capital cost to us. Sun Tribe is their former name. They're now Madison Energy Infrastructure. They retain all the credits which they sell. Again, when we started this, we projected the 3.9% annual increase. And then again, all operations and maintenance is at the expense of MEI throughout the length of the term. So on that note, the staff recommendation to you, council, is to approve the First Amendment to the solar power purchase agreement with a 1.5% electricity cost escalation rate for the aquatic and recreation centers, including all the associated documents. I didn't want to list them out here. And authorize the execution of these documents by the town manager.
Motion to approve the First Amendment to solar power purchase agreements.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion and questions?
Just a quick question.
Okay.
Just a quick one. If we pull out, which I know hopefully we won't be, do you have an idea what it would cost us? Or what's that based on?
It's on that schedule. and they set it up, they have a lot of expenses coming out the gate. So that's why it appears that we don't make as much in the early years. But once it levels out, then we start. I can't tell you a specific number, sir, but I don't think I'd like it.
All right, thank you.
I wouldn't want to have to budget for it.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question. So, why was is this locked in place? Was the contract not signed before? I'm not understanding why we're having a change after the fact.
Well,
I
there,
understand the rates went up, everybody's complaining, I get that, but can you explain the other to me?
okay, there's a clause, and I can read it to you verbatim, because I figured this might come up. This is unusual, and I understand that, and I understand the question. This is not typical. Typically, we're all used to our construction contracts. We bid it, it's set in stone, we go to market. In this case, I think the agreement says it best, if I may read that, if I can find it here. Okay.
I am really confused. I am so sorry. This whole thing, I don't know if I'm not hearing correctly or what's going on, but I thought we had done this and that was all good and everything back over a year ago when I thought we really had signed a document or something with them for the solar panels and stuff. And now we're talking about, does the town, how much money does the town have to come up with for this?
None, ma'am. No cost to the town. And that's why we're doing
There's
this.
still no cost to the town, so why are we talking about the other stuff or how much the aquatic center makes and everything else? What does that have to do anything with this?
Well, it's a result of the change. I wanted to show council how in the end, we're going to realize as much savings as we did in the beginning when we signed the contract. There's section 2.2 of the agreement that states, the parties acknowledge that the solar energy industry is subject to rapidly changing market conditions. Generator reserves, and generator is MEI, reserves the right to work in good faith with the customer, that's us, to negotiate new pricing terms at any point prior to mobilizing to site for construction. And that is where we're at right here on this timeline. We're getting ready to go into construction. They had things they didn't know. Things are up in the air in Washington. I've been extremely concerned about this, but and the cost of the.
So what is your suggestion? Is your suggestion to continue to go with this, or is this gonna? Because I heard that there was no cost to the town with this, but then there may be a change of a cost to the town. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, not at all. Not at all. When we entered into the original agreement, we knew that they were going to do a site assessment. They were going to do all of these, all of this pre-work before they started construction, and that we had the potential to renegotiate prior to them mounting the first solar panel what the ultimate agreement was going to look like. It still costs us nothing. And in the end, the projection, if everything stays the same, will make a couple $30,000 or $40,000 more in the end of the 30 years than what we originally estimated. And those numbers are still all estimations because you don't know what the cost of power is going to be. But as of this point forward, when we entered this agreement, the contract no longer changes. At this point, we go into construction, it still costs the town $0 to install the solar system in the two facilities that we've identified. And in the end, the potential is that we save more money than we did originally. However, we knew the potential to do this, and it was briefed way back when we did the first approval. We said we're going into the project development phase, and that there was potential before project execution that there may be a slight change. And this is the slight change, but it still costs us $0 to accomplish, and we potentially make more money in the end.
So what is the amendment about? Because I still don't understand the discussion about in town council is that we are to talk about, an amendment.
We're
What's
approving
amendment
we're
about?
approving the amendment at 1.5%. We originally agreed to zero, we originally,
It's a one, excuse me, it's a 1.5% escalation rate of the energy cost. So each year, each anniversary date, the cost increases 1.5%. Now, AEP may go up 5%, 2%, but we go up 1.5%. That's a constant.
So we're not having to increase anything. If there is still not costing us anything to be able to do this, once again, why is the amendment?
Because they have, as the agreement states, they're allowed to come back to us once they've gone through this project development stage, and we sit down, take a look at the cost. There's another sentence I want to read here. In the event generator initiates such negotiations and the parties are not able to agree on new pricing terms, then notwithstanding any provisions herein to the contrary, generator shall have the right to terminate this agreement without penalty and without any further obligation to customer. I hope that doesn't
So
happen.
what you're just trying to say is that we're gonna be saving more money and that's it. There is no money we're not talking about anything else besides that.
that's correct.
Correct,
That's
ma'am, not a
correct.
penny.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Not a penny.
Any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
Yes,
I'm sorry, Kevin, do you have a question?
yes, yes.
Okay.
It's been a good while since I've looked at that contract, so my memory is not as fresh as yours, Wayne. Are there any other clauses in there that we need to be aware of that could change?
No, ma'am. I highlighted a couple items here. I wanted you, as council, aware that about the heating of the pool water. I think they're running into some problems in some other localities. We don't have that problem. We heat our pool water with natural gas, so we have no problems there. We modified the renewal period from 2 renewals at 5 years each to one renewal for a total of 30 years. And there was a change in the initial price of electricity, and then the termination fees changed. And all of this is due to the additional cost associated with the project that they're incurring.
And how much change was there in the termination fees? I know you said it's a schedule, so you don't have to be exact, but do you have a percentage or?
I do not, ma'am. I didn't bother to calculate that. I don't have that information available.
Is there equipment, subsidized or held by the government, and will they be affected by some of the things that have been happening with some of the grants and things like that?
No, where they make their money is on energy credits.
Yes.
And so they upfront the money for all the equipment and the total installation. And then what we do is waive the energy credits to them, and that's where they make their money. So the potential effect for them is the way, so some of that stuff may potentially affect them, but it doesn't change what we do or how we do it. So they're not subsidized. The energy credits is where they make their money, and how those play out and what the value of an energy credit is, which potentially is going to go up for them, given all the tariffs and all that stuff. But that's the story for a different day.
And of all their clients, they told me that Fairfax County is the only client of theirs that retains the credits themselves. They're big enough, they can put a team on that
To sell them.
to broker it and
Yeah.
sell them. Yeah.
Is the energy credit connect to the escalation rate?
No.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
Uh,
Councilwoman Bowman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye. Thanks, Wayne.
That is 6-0. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Mayor.
The Emergency Services Funding Request from Montgomery County. Brenda, you got that one? Scott, you got it? Who's got it?
Of course, as you know, we've had work session to discuss the letter to Montgomery County. We had Emergency Services Committee meeting, and they instructed us to look at basically a 3-year average of calls and in regards to our expenses. So we did draft the letter in regards to that. We did include verbiage in regards to the potential for a partnership with a future station. Again, that's a potential. It would all be subject to any town council approval, obviously, because of budgetary commitments involved with that. So, basically, the letter is drafted as is to come from the mayor towards the board chair. If there's any changes that council would like before the mayor would sign the letter, please let us know.
I am really looking forward to some changes to the letter. I was reading and I kind of have to agree with what Mr. Wells was actually saying. I don't think the letter really matches some of the discussions that took place in the work session, especially in the meeting that the emergency services had between Tanya, Kim Wilson, Michael Barber, and Mr. Hanks, and all the other people that were there the other day. One of the things that I want to see on the letter is obviously in reference to the outside limits and things like that, but my understanding is that we are actually getting money from the county for the outside limits. We are part of Montgomery County, 100%. We are town citizens that are also part of the county, and therefore, we should be able to get money from the county for the, safety services. One of the reasons why we pay taxes to the county is obviously to take care of our citizens. And so one of the things that I should really, that I really look forward to looking in that letter would be something that says, we want a percentage. And what about that percentage? We pay like 74 cents or something for 100 to the county. What about we ask them, for them to pay 74 cents out of those emergency services, and then we'll pay the other 14 cents, for whatever we're doing. Another thing that I'm not in agreement with is obviously work on all of these projects without having none of those studies being done by the county. I heard that Tanya was mentioning on one of those meetings the other day where, the town had done a study. Randy, is that correct? Did we do a study? Because from what I understand and what I gathered from some of the past meetings, it was that we haven't done that study. It was the state that did the study, and then the county has been implementing some of the changes, but the town hasn't. And so, can you clarify that? And obviously, I really, really want to get help for our town's limits. I mean, we are part of the county, and so for me, I am very 100% going into the percentage rate instead of, we need to be partners with them. And that money should be, dispersed the same way that it's being given to Elliston and other places.
The town does not have a location study for emergency services buildings.
They're gonna be doing it.
Well, we don't have any commitment to do anything from town council yet. The only thing we have is basically $1 million for a potential site study for emergency services, but like I say, that's simply in the budget. It hasn't been spent.
Yeah, I personally think it's crazy for us to spend the money, period, if the county is getting ready to start plans to build right down the road 2 miles from where we're speaking. So, yeah, I'm not totally on board with this either. I do think we should be working together for the benefit of the whole, and I'm not sure that this is exactly the way to go about it.
Well, and then I am open to hearing from Randy and the rest of town council and see how they feel about, I mean, the value of that land over there by the park is very high, it's valuable to the town, it's valuable to the prosperity of the town. Obviously, emergency services are very, very important to us, but if the county is taking care of that, I think we need to partner with them and definitely not start something on our own.
So no-
We won't be able to afford millions and millions of dollars and be able to have personal to take care of this, obviously a building, piece of land. We don't even have we have been waiting for years now to be able to sell that piece of land that we have over there by the park, because that was the direction of previous town council members, and we're still waiting for that, so.
Nowhere in the letter does it state that we want to use the land at the park to build the new fire station, so.
We have not even committed, as far as I remember from the meeting that we attended, the work session, we've not even committed that that's the spot we want to build it on.
That's
That's an
correct.
available piece of land.
The council's position has still been that that land's for sale. If Randy brings us a contract for that land, that land is still on the market for sale. And the Emergency Services Committee does not have the authority, first of all, to overturn that decision by the council. We have indicated in meetings that we find it a desirable piece, but that's not anything other than we have found it as a desirable piece. And the numbers that you see mentioned in this letter actually equate to a percentage. It just doesn't say 70%, but it is based off a percentage in there, and it takes into consideration the fact that the county's doing an assessment, and there's talks, just like we've talked about, they may potentially build a building out on the Peppers Ferry corridor somewhere. And so it takes that into consideration. And we took from our work session and, all the discussion we had there, much into consideration. And with that said, since this is an action on the floor, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the letter as it's written.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion?
I do have a,
Mr. Bishop has the floor right. Mr. Bishop has the floor right now. Thank you.
I just have a question. I might have overlooked it, but I don't recall seeing the letter myself.
It was in your packet.
Okay, that's why I didn't see it, so, okay.
Okay, Ms. Hicks, I'm sorry.
I want a percentage of, talking about the public safety of our limits, inside our town limits, because the reality is there is a lot of emphasis on the county limits of the services that we provide to the county, but we are part of the county. And that's the one thing that I want to make sure that they realize that and they don't forget.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we have a motion on the floor. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
What is the motion?
To approve the letter. as
letter.
written.
With no changes?
That's correct.
I'm going to abstain because I'm just not getting it.
Okay.
Councilwoman Bowman,
Nay.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Nay.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins,
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is 3-2 with one abstention. You still reading?
No, I'm finished.
Okay,
Oh,
very good.
motion's been made. Go ahead.
Okay. So the motion carries 3-2 and one abstention. Resolution for fiscal year 24-25 budget amendment number 3. Katie, is that one yours or Randy's or whomever's? You can pull that mic down so Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think I can reach that on my tippy toes.
Can you hear okay, Ms. Bowman, Ms. Hicks?
Okay, tonight you have before you the amendment number 3. I know in the worksheet I divided it into 2 pieces to hopefully make it a little bit easier to follow what I've done. I know the format's probably different than what you're used to as well. So on the spreadsheet, the first amendment is, the first part of this amendment is really increasing the budget by $30,000 for our town's match of the Appalachian Regional Commission Planning Grant for the passenger rail station agreement. And these funds at the end of the year were rolled into fund balance. So we're just going to use the fund balance for that $30,000 to cover that. Okay?
Motion to approve.
Well, we gotta get the whole thing first. We could do the
We
whole
do
thing,
both.
the whole amendment.
Oh.
There's another piece?
There is. I thought I heard a question.
Yeah. Ms. Hicks, do you have a question?
Yes, from where did the money come from again? I couldn't hear anything to say.
The 30,000 for the passenger rail is coming from fund balance. At the end of the year, it would have rolled into fund balance. So we're going to use that fund balance to cover the costs. Okay. The next 2 are transfers to in the budget. The first one is transferring the Silver Lake project balance, which is, that project is complete. So transferring the little bit of funds that remain in that project to the Arrowhead Sewer Shed project to use as contingency for that contract. Excuse me. And the other one is to transfer some unobligated funds that we had for the North Franklin Bridge Deck project that we haven't started yet to a more pressing project, which is the CAC HVAC replacement project. According to the most recent cost estimate received from the town's consulting engineer, we know we will need additional funds for that project. And so we talked with engineering and thought that that might be a good place to transfer the funds from.
And how much were those funds? I'm not sure, I can't see the board. I'm not sure Ms. Hicks and them can see it either.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. So the transfer from Silver Lake to Arrowhead is going to be $35,600. And the transfer from the North Franklin Bridge project to the HVAC replacement project is $2,248,185.
And these are funds that are already in reserve or in,
They're already in the expenditures for the town. We're just simply transferring them from one
from one
project to another.
a more
Yes, sir.
pressing one.
Was
Yes.
any of that money from the state?
No, no, ma'am.
You finished?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I don't have any problems with the, I don't have any problems with the reallocation, but this is more of an engineering question. The North Franklin Bridge Deck project, we've kicked that before. I know, I mean, where, you know, there's clearly more pressing matters, and I understand that, but where does that now fall in pecking order going forward, if this is approved?
Let me try to answer that, giving a little bit of background. That project has been on the books for quite some time. It's aged over time because it took almost 2 years to get a permit from the railroad to work over top of their tracks.
Okay.
So that's a project that we did a study, we did some testing on it, we did some coring into the concrete deck. We tested it for salt intrusion, chloride intrusion, and it's to a point right now where we wanted to get it done, but it wasn't the absolute critical thing to do. That project right now would, in and of itself, since it's aged a couple of years, waiting on the permit from the railroad, we would have had to come back and ask for additional funds to even start that project anyway. So we would have been asking for more funds for that. So last September, VDOT changed some criteria on some of their funding that makes that project eligible for additional funding through VDOT.
Okay.
So these unobligated amounts, we thought it was a better use at this time to move that over to the HVAC replacement. And in the future, we're going to pursue funding through VDOT for that bridge deck. Now, to answer your question about the pecking order, it's still a priority for us because the salt is still eking into the
Right.
concrete. But we don't think it's so critical that it can't wait until we make application and potentially get funding from VDOT.
Okay.
So I'd say probably, if we can get funding this year, we may go ahead and kick it off in FY '26. It may be FY '27. We still want to do it's still a very needed project. We still want to do it, but we're pursuing funding.
Okay,
And
thank
we
you.
rolled those funds over because we made money on another project and we had extra money.
On the Silver Lake
On-
project?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that project is 100% done.
Yeah,
It's
so we
setting
had
there.
extra money, so we said, let's go ahead and bump that project up. So when we moved
Right.
it up on priority, it was only because we had that 2 million sitting to put towards something.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Kate, are you okay? Any other comments or questions? We do have a motion on the floor to pass budget amendment number 3 as presented. Any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
That is over $2 million, right?
Yeah, 2.21 million, 35,000 and 30,000.
Transfer.
Did
Transfers.
they already go through the, bidding process too?
You're
For
talking
the-
about the HVAC?
That's for the HVAC.
Yeah, did they already go through the bidding process for that?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Have we gone through the bidding process for the HVAC?
We have advertised, there's an IFB on the street right now. We advertised it last Friday. So no contract has been awarded. We have not received bids at all, but we've advertised for the project.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is 6-0. Thank you very much. Appropriations for fiscal year budget 24-25, budget amendment number 3,
Motion to approve.
which is a resolution that we do those things.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to appropriate those funds. Any comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is 6-0. Thank you very much. Staff reports, Town Manager.
Let council know that the community support applications are saved on the Town Council T drive in the council folder, in the folder called Applications for Support for 25-26, for 2025-26.
Okay.
If you'd like to review those.
Okay.
Also, let you know, Town Hall will be closed Monday for George Washington Day. Also, I'll ask, of course, we've got next February 19th, the Wednesday council work session at 6:30. Topics that have been mentioned have been the emergency services request letter, tourism in the Main Street program, outdoor advertising, facade grants, and a capital planning work session. Which topics would you, as a council, desire to have for that work session?
They want emergency services. And then there's a grant.
Will you remind me what else is on the list?
What I had is the emergency services request letter, which
We've
we
approved tonight.
voted on. The tourism tourism in general, and like I say, the Main Street program, outdoor advertising, facade grants, and capital planning.
Looks like it's the facade grant, maybe? Is that what I'm hearing from you all?
Yeah.
Sure.
Facade grants,
Facade grant?
is that the only topic?
Yes.
Yes.
And also mention that may look at some type of policy in regards to town closure. Typically, Town Hall has not closed for inclement weather events, literally ever. Basically, we've had policy that if employees can't make it in, that's acceptable, but we've, sorry, I'll try to speak a little closer. Looking at possibly an inclement weather policy for Town Hall, just let you know maybe if that's acceptable with council.
Sure.
Okay,
That's all I have.
all right. Mr. Broughton,
No report.
any other staff to report? Council reports, Mr. Bishop,
No reports.
Ms. Hicks,
No, that's all.
Ms. Hockett,
Nothing to report.
Ms. Bowman.
I wanted to make a couple of statements. First of all, Mr. Wilson and myself were able to save the taxpayers $42,000 by not continuing to have online monitoring of people's water bills during the month. It was stated that people can call in, and the town can still provide that information if necessary. So I think that's a win for the town. Also, I just wanted to get an update, I guess, probably from you, Randy, as to what is going on with the installation of the new audio equipment so that we can hear these meetings better.
I know, I guess we're going to be working on getting that on order. Like I say, I think we have had issues.
Ms.
Christina's
Boston's going to come
actually
and address
been
that.
dealing with it, so hang on just a second.
So we have obtained 2 quotes, but because of the cost, we have been working to obtain a 3rd quote. IT has reached out to a company who has assessed the technology that we have, and they are working on getting us a quote. I just emailed them yesterday to follow up. They said they would have it to us as soon as they could. So I think, are required to have 3 different quotes because of the cost. So we're just waiting on that, and then we'll be able to make a decision. It seems like all of the companies could have it installed within 2 weeks, so we're continuing to work on it, but are at the mercy of the vendor right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Have I got all of mine?
You got half of us.
I got half my own.
I got nothing.
Neither do I.
All right, very good. Ms. Bowman and Ms. Hicks, do y'all have comments? I've asked Ms. Hicks, yeah. Okay. I get off the track sometimes. Pardon the train pun. All right. Is there any other business?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we go into closed session, a closed meeting under Code of Virginia 2.2-3711, A3 for the discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or of the disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. The closed meeting is being held for discussion of potential purchase of property for parks and recreation.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Casey did.
Second.
Second, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, did you go through the discussion already?
No.
Did we what? Ms. Hicks, I didn't understand what you,
Right, do you ask for discussion, because I wanted to say something?
we're going into closed session. The motion is to go into closed session.
Okay,
Now, if you have a comment,
yes,
okay.
I do. I just want to make sure that, I got just a message the other day from, an investor that wanted to, find out about that, but I did give that to someone else, so I have nothing to do with that discussion as far as that. So I feel like there will not be a conflict of interest for me to go inside the closed session tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
That is
Councilman-
6-0.
No.
Is that right? Mr. Wilson is 6-0?
You got,
They're calling.
you got 2.
Councilman Jenkins,
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
I heard all of it. We're in closed session for we'll take about a 3-minute recess.